Live from iRacing's virtual Five Flags Speedway, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the 2025 running of iRacing's Winter Derby. This annual event, both in the real world and on the sim, continued to be the most prestigious super late model race in the country that draws some of the nation's top short track racers from around the country for a 300-lap showdown on the half mile here in Pensacola. And tonight we do it on the sim with this special presentation of Race Spot TV and the iRacing Esports Network. It's myself, Evan Pasoko, with Derek Watson in the broadcast booth. Our producer, Hugo Luis, is bringing us to you. And as always, with iRacing special event coverage, Derek, we have got some top split action, some of the biggest names in the sim, some of the top short track racers across the service here tonight, as what we are into the home stretch on this 2025 calendar.
Yeah, what an honor it's been to be a part of this calendar this year with you and with others. And here we are, the finale in December, the Winter Derby, the Chili Bowl, and then the Prod Car Challenge is what's left. We've been here for a bunch of the NASCAR events together. It's been a blast. So I'm excited to see what we can make happen here in this 300-lap race here at Five Flags Speedway.
It is going to be a rough and tough 300 laps, 30 drivers with a strength of field with an average I rating of more than 6,000 getting ready to compete. There are plenty of oval races on the calendar, but not a lot of short track racing. You do have the likes of the Bristol 500 in there. That event falls part of the NIS calendar, but if you are a part of the tight-knit and ultra-competitive short track community on the sim, it's basically our Super Bowl here in December.
Yeah, I mean, there's really the Bristol 500. You could argue that the new Martinsville MX 500, we saw Ted Lowendick win that about a month or so ago here on the iRacing Network, and now this event, I would say, are your three maybe crown jewels if you do love that short track racing.
These cars are fun as we are into the final 2 minutes of the qualifying session, getting set to build the field for tonight's race. Let's talk about the Five Flags Speedway, though, a half-mile paved oval that opened back in 1953. The track takes its name from the proximity to Pensacola, known as the city of Five Flags, in reference to the fact that five governments have ruled the city over the course of its history, all the way from Spain to its current position with the U.S. Of course, Five Flags is one of the fastest short tracks in America, thanks to its steep 15 degrees of banking and wide turns that give the track nearly a circular configuration. You can see it from above, and when you look at those rubbered-in lines, the straightaways are not much of a reprieve at the Speedway. Although the track was a stop on NASCAR's senior circuit in its early days, since 1968, Five Flags has been known as the site of the annual Snowball Derby. Held each December, the Snowball Derby is considered the premier super late model event in the countries, with the past winners including the names of Donnie Allison, Darrell Waltrip, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, just to name a few. And of course, local racing at Five Flags on a weekly basis. You got the SLMs, you got Pro Late Models, Super Stock Sportsman Bombers, and much more for Short Track Friday nights in the local scene. But there have been other historic circle tracks and short tracks, Derek, on the sim. I think of Myrtle Beach as an example. Some of the other ones who live on in the sim but no longer exist in the real world. And I know a lot of chatter is that, of course, the Snowball Derby weekend is coming up, so happy to see that tradition continuing in the real world, and glad that the iRacing Special Events calendar gets to be a part of it.
Yeah, and you mentioned the real-life version of this, the Snowball Derby, and it's gotten some big names this year. I know I saw Kyle Busch was signed up for it, and many, many other stars across racing will be there when that event happens. But I love what you touched on about this track in real life. It's had a rich NASCAR history. Much different cars back in 1953, but what we now know as the Cup Series ran here. The ARCA Series has come here off and on, either as the ARCA Series or its predecessor, the K&N Series, has come here. The SRX, when it existed, I guess it's still technically on hiatus, has raced here back in 2022. So a great track, a very fast track, a half-mile track with banking all around. The front straight, the back straight, and the corners all have that banking built in. But there's a lot of history here, and someone wants to add their name to the record books in about 300 laps from now.
And the clock strikes 0 in the left-hand corner of our screen. Qualifying has drawn to a close, so let's go down and introduce you to our starting grid for tonight's top split of the iRacing Winter Derby. It's going to be Ryan Kuhn on a pole position with a 15:5:39, just ahead of Kyle Turzak, who will make up the outside of front row in P2. Chase Williamson starts inside of row 2 in third. He'll be next to Parker Retzlaff, a short track ace in the real world in his own right. We'll start from the number 4 spot. Ryan Matthews picks up P5. He'll be next to Alexandre Lacasse in P6.
Moving back into P7, you'll find Hendrik Cryer in that 53 machine next to Oliver Racine. P9 is AJ Plemons, with Maverick Davis, someone we're familiar with back in P10. Tracy Petters in 11th with Michael Smith back in P12.
Looking at 13 tonight, we'll go to Wyatt Tinsley, one of the pro-level drivers in the field, next to Cameron Liebel in 14th. And Chris Horton starts P15, Joseph Galata in the number 16th position with Dallas Pataska 16th and Mick Gingras in 18th.
Back in P19, you'll find Brett Hahn next to Mitch Dranowski. P21, you'll find Derek Love next to Keegan Sabillo. And then 23rd and 24th, Brad M. Newman and Tyler Gary in the 7th.
Continuing on through P25 into qualifying. It goes to Junsa Lim. It'll be next to James Bomar in P26. William Keck will start 27th. Charles Wimbley in 28th. Connor Robinson 29th. And Nolan Hodgson in P30. That's going to be looked top to bottom at tonight's full starting order. Qualified times to drivers inside of the top 23. So everybody from Tyler Gary, P24 on back, starting based on provisional. You take a look at the track conditions, 70 degrees Fahrenheit. That might sound a little bit warm for December, but that's pretty accurate. It was a nice day here in the Sunshine State, so track temps going to be high, relatively speaking, when you're talking about an event happening in December. Mostly cloudy conditions. We'll keep an eye on those, of course, as the race progresses, but the big story is 300 laps and 150 miles to survive the iRacing Winter Derby. So just like any time we do any of these full-length races, surviving, being smart about when to take risks, all of that going to factor into who finds success early in this race.
Yeah, I definitely will. And it's 1:31 p.m. virtual sim time. By the way, I bring that up, Evans. I think this track may heat up a little bit as this race goes on, as the afternoon continues. It's nighttime on the East Coast, or even the West Coast. It's already dark outside, but virtual sim time, the sun is still out and shining down on the track.
We're happy that you're with us for this special presentation of RaceSpot TV on the iRacing Esports Network. Ryan Kuhn, the #1 ranked driver based on iRating, starts from pole and will lead the field at a turn 4. Let's go racing in Pensacola. Up to pace, and Kuhn leads the end of lap #1. In the number 2 spot, Parker Retzlaff picks up 2 positions early. The bright yellow number 7 car into the runner-up spot.
Yeah, great job by Parker. You saw him make that lane change right as we hit the green flag. So he's eager to get up front, but look at this great side-by-side racing back through the field here. And these laps happen fast, Evan. Remember, about 16 seconds a lap here. If we stay green, these laps will tick off faster. Some way to the bottom, though, on that white line. That is a dangerous space here at this racetrack.
Caution, flies. Trouble behind the leaders. A couple of cars scatter. Those look like they were avoiding the pace car, maybe, coming out of the pit lane. So James Bomar over the radio thanking somebody. Curious if he was near the accident or was the accident. And his thanks was sarcastic. He loses positions, so my intuition would suggest something happened with the driver of the number 10.
Yeah, we'll wait for the replay to load up here and see what happened, but it didn't take long for our first caution to come out, and we'll wait and see when this happens. But even the pace laps here are going to be quick, Evan, so not very long for now. We're back to racing. There's the 10 car top of your screen. He gets a small boop from the back. And that black, I think it was a 27 machine. On around he went. And all is well in the end, though. I mean, he got turned sideways, maybe a little damage to the back, but no major damage other than that.
Yeah, so for short track racing's sake, a pretty tame touch to the back bumper of Bomar. I don't see much, if any, cosmetic or visual damage on the bumper of the car as well. So the good news is that car should be competitive still. He does lose some positions. He was running back into the number 25 spot at the moment of contact with the 27 car of Connor Robeson, so he will only drop back 5 spots to the tail of the field because he will restart shotgun in the number 30 position. You're right on board with Ryan Matthews, started P5. He'll restart in exactly that position. The 2 spots gained for Parker Retzlaff ties everybody in the field for the most spots gained, but now it's going to put him on the outside of the front row. We will see if that typical disadvantage, being alongside the control car instead of the driver lined up behind him, maybe gives Kyle Turzak an opportunity to get at him, although it'll be a single file restart, so you can wash that away. It's all going to be in the hands of Ryan Kuhn up front of the field, so the number 1's going to have total control. Lights out on top of the pace car, looking for the green this time by. You
could kind of tell everyone kind of forgot the whole single file thing. Everybody was double file oval like we're at a regular NASCAR race. Someone in voice out say, single file, guys. And all of a sudden it just kind of lined up like a parade, didn't it?
They gaslit me into it. They're single filed out. They've got it figured out. Green flag back in the air. Still a long way from home at Five Flags Speedway. Clean start. All drivers in the top 10. Single file out of turn 2.
Watching the action happen here down into turns 3 and 4. Parker Retzlaff still up in second. And that bright yellow machine single file. Do that single file restart back through the field here. It'll be a while before you find your first side-by-side battle, but everyone here has the same look at these laps. Everyone watch them all down to the corner, just above the white line. Everyone's going to track back out up to the wall. It's going to be hard to find an advantage here.
Yeah, it's difficult, and those single file restarts mean that you're going to have to work for it. You don't start with the battle already on deck. Again, up front, it's competitive. And now side by side for the number 4 spot, Chase Williamson up on the outside. It was Ryan Matthews to the bottom. They will exchange positions 4 and 5. So Matthews up a spot. Williamson loses his second in the early running.
A couple of drivers starting to drift up to those corners and moving up in those lanes. And by the way, not long does it take here, Evan, for tires to become a conversation. This is a track known to eat some tires. This is a very abrasive, very bumpy track. It maybe doesn't look like it from these camera angles, but this track will eat up a set of tires for lunch and be eager for more. Here is on board with our P9 driver, Oliver Racine, the Canadian. It doesn't look that bumpy inside the car, but I guarantee you, buddy, it is eating up these tires lap by lap pretty quickly.
And the onboard look with Olivier Racine in line behind Alexandra Lacasso. A couple of Canadians lined up in positions number 8 and 9 as they run at the moment. Both drivers in a spot where pretty much they started. It's going to be 1 spot down for Olivier from the start. Alexandra is down 2. So a couple spots gained and lost for a lot of these drivers. Here comes a challenge to the inside. Racine on the bottom. It's the 29 Lacasse up on the outside, side by side for the number 8 spot. And once you get 2x2, hard for the drivers on the outside to do a lot about it. Through and clear goes the 17. Next man up, Tracy Pettit to the bottom. Trouble and a caution. Good save by the 13 car. No big hit to the inside as Cameron Liebel caught that thing off of turn 2. The yellow had already come out, but when we got the first shot of it, I thought for certain it was going to be into the Armco.
Yeah, he was headed basically head first into it, wasn't he? And there you see just got a little bump right there. Couldn't get a number on the car behind, but he got turned, did a full 360, and still got the car saved just barely. Well, I'll tell you what, we are 2 for 2 this evening on drivers avoiding those walls. And I would love to say that I'm confident that streak is going to continue all night long, but at some point, somewhere, somehow, I suspect that will not be the case. Well, as we talked about tires earlier, Evan, I do want to say that, while tires are important here, so is track position. So I bring that up to say, if you're someone up front right now, if you're Ryan Kuhn, Retzlaff, Terzak, Ryan Matthews, we're only about 18 laps in. There's no way I could see convincing any of these guys to come down and put tires on. But if I'm in the back of the field, if I'm Derek Love and 20th, maybe 21st Brett Hahn on back, maybe I take a swing at this. I'm curious if anyone comes down pit road here.
It looks like Wyatt Tinsley is the only driver currently showing his down pit road. He was up in the number 18 position, so I think that's worth noting because that car, was in a decent spot, we'll call it, in the midfield. But that car's down and in for service and back out. Nolan Hodgson pitted earlier, so did Chris Horton. So 3 total drivers down to the pit lane this time, all from the rear of the field. It's going to be a chess match, to your point, on when the right decision is to make that trip down pit road, because I suspect, you mentioned the track position, trips down to the pit lane are going to be very limited tonight. You're going to have to be very strategic and precise, and a little bit lucky, admittedly, too, right? How are the cautions, the length of the green flag runs, will all of this different variables fall in the right order based on what strategy you want to enact that puts you on the best tires when it matters the most on the final run down to the end of the race. This time, we will go 2 by 2 for the restart. Kuhn and Retzlaff lined up again on the front row. It's the number 1 Kuhn who has led every single lap so far tonight. Back underway we go. He's got the advantage at the stripe and is clear of the 7 into turn 1.
Side by side this time on the restart. Here we go. It looks pretty good racing. Retzlaff may have a problem defending that top lane. Right now he's got Kyle Terzak down below him. They're side by side for P2, and Terzak's going to get the advantage here into this corner. Other thing to mention, Evan, by the way, when it comes to that whole tire talk, a check with the iRacing stewards, 4 sets of tires for this evening. So maybe that's why no one's eager to come down and get one yet. 300 laps, 4 sets of tires. That math does not work out yet.
Yeah, you have to be smart about it. And again, there's a little bit of luck in there, but you can help yourself out a lot also by not getting a little bit overzealous early on in this thing. Your top 2 single file battles on for 3rd, but Matthews sideways off of 4. It's going to give the advantage to Retzlaff. Trouble behind them, the 12 of Chris Horton. Slow off at turn number 4. 3rd caution in the opening 23.
Well, are at caution number 3. Watch up below. The 26 is going to come up, get a little bit of tap. 12 to 12 hits the wall, so that streak is ended as far as cars avoiding the wall under caution. Here we are, 3rd caution of the night. You and I had a conversation pre-show about this could possibly be a caution-heavy track, or a caution-heavy race, I should say, and so far that's proven to be true. So get a nice look up above at this track in Pensacola, a track used in the iRacing service and used in some of the lower license classes, the super late models. I think maybe the some of the lower series. I mean, the street stocks might come here every now and then. So a pretty awesome track here to run on the service.
It's a fun one, like I said. Super late models. I think one of my favorite short track cars. I've driven these, the pro late models. Could never figure out the modifieds. You see why Tinsley's going to get an EOL penalty sent to the back. But again, there's just something about super lates here at Five Flags, here at some of the other staples on the iRacing short track calendar that is such a good time to watch. And again, there's not a pro level, full-time series. Think your Porsche esports, your NASCAR Coca-Cola series. There is not really something like that for this type of racing on the sim. So this date, again, if you're a short track person, and there's a lot of dedicated short track leagues that have been around for a long time, but if this is your bread and butter, again, this is one of your biggest races of the year. And again, not just tonight. We say this every time we bring you some special iRacing special event coverage, is that we'll cover one top split for the week, but if you haven't done so yet, there's plenty of competitive opportunities over the course of the week, both in an open race like tonight, where drivers could bring their best and race best on best, or fixed setup races opportunity as well. Going to be plenty more splits throughout the weekend if you want to participate.
Yep, certainly are. So here we are real quick. You see a driver getting a wave around there. There's one more chance to do an open setup race, which is what this is here, Evan. That'll be Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. And there, I believe, are three more shots at the fixed setups, 5 a.m. Eastern and noon Eastern tomorrow on Saturday. And then Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, as we're back to Green Flag Racing.
It's another good start for the number 1 machine. Kuhn stays out in front. Second double file restart in a row. No issues for the 1. But Kyle Turzak on the inside line now drops down ahead of the 7 of Retzlaff, so he's taken over the number 2 spot. Retzlaff down to 3rd. Matthews loses another one. How about AJ Piemans? First time we've mentioned the 22. He's up 5 positions into a race best P4 at the moment.
Doing a great job as the American there and having a good run so far. Side by side is the battle he's having right here, though. And with these corners, remember, these corners are banked at 15 degrees. Straightaways are banked at 9 degrees. There's never quite a moment where you're not, kind of off kilter in this car a little bit here. So you're always facing some kind of banking, some kind of a little bit of a tilt or a lean, if you will. If you're in either a motion rig or a VR, you may be feeling that all night long. But right now, a great battle is going on back to the field here.
Good action right there, tail end of the top 10 between the 17 machine of Racine on the bottom of the racetrack. This Ryan Matthews up top. The 24 had been a top 5 car for the majority of this race, but is going the wrong direction on the outside. Just cannot find a spot down to the bottom. Tracy Petter in the 3. The next car up, through and clear. And the 4 now, Michael Smith, very aggressive in that all-blue entry to get to the door as well. The 24 gets into the fence. Matthews now down nearly a half a dozen spots since the restart alone.
I look at that 24 car in the top lane there, Evan, and the way I can try to explain to someone, maybe you're watching this because you have a relative in it or a friend or someone in this race, you've never seen much racing before. You ever been at a restaurant before and you open the door for someone and like that one person walks in, another person walks in, another person, next thing you hold the door for like 8 people? That's kind of what it's like being stuck on the outside of a short track. It just feels like no matter how hard you try, there's no way to get back inside. There's no way to let go of that door. More people just kind of keep pushing their way through, and you have to kind of just, bully your way into it. Just kind of say, okay, I'm done holding the door now. I want to get in here myself. And that's what the 24 is trying to do. He's trying to find a way, and he's hoping that a gap will open here, maybe between the 25 and the 11 as they almost make contact, but there's no gap right now.
And it's a traffic jam from this battle for 11th position on back as Maverick Davis, next driver through and clear. All eyes to the 11 at Joseph Galata. And now a huge mistake. Matthews, maybe a little bit desperate or frustrated, overdrove it into turn number 3, lost 3 spots in the blink of an eye. He's no longer even in the picture now. He drops back further. Looking at the battle between the 13 of Liebel and the 29 of Lacasse. The 13 pushes up, leaning on that driver in the disadvantaged line. This should go in favor of Cameron on the bottom. Give credit to that 29, though. Lacasse doing everything he can. I think finally will tuck in line.
Yeah, good old super late model door banging and touching what was going on there. There's even a battle up ahead of them right there. You see the front of your screen right there happening as well. So there's still some great side-by-side racing. This 24 car, though, Evan, I wasn't sure. I thought maybe he had tried to back up the car. Maybe he's trying to ride high here to get kind of out of that battle and get his wits back to him, right? Just kind of see if he can find a line. Right there it is. He was willing to pull down, and he does. Finally, the 24 is back in lane on the bottom after what's going to feel like hours on the top.
Yeah, and it's not before the damage is done. Again, started this race in 5th, now scored in the number 17 position. It was not a graceful fall for Ryan Matthews, but the good news is we know that car has speed, right? Qualified in the top 5, had top 10 speed in the short practice session before this race got underway. So, and trouble right in front of him. The 13 is around. Yellow flag will fly again. And it is going to be a stack-up. Liebel, the 26 of Wembley, and the 20 of Keegan Sabillo. Third driver into the picture, could not get stopped in time.
Yeah, that was the last hit. Looked like the hardest one. Sabillo there in the 26. We'll have to wait and see what happened. Here's going to be the beginning of the replay. We saw these guys earlier, and that door banging finally got a little too much. 13 got looped around, came back down the track. The 26, I think, got on the brakes and got sideways, and then he just got a small hit from Cibillo in the back. That's how fast things happen in short track racing. One spin turns into 3 or 4 cars wrecked under caution.
And it was an inverse of what you saw, right, in the battle earlier, where it was Liebel pushing the 29 up the racetrack. In that example, Lacasse got the opportunity to get underneath the 13, and I think the 13 had given enough room. It looked like the class just, got a little bit too hard into the corner, or the tail end of the car just wasn't planted and pushed up the hill. But you're on the ragged edge, and if you're willing to be aggressive, put your car in the door of somebody else and move them up out of the way, I think you kind of have to accept the fact that, hey, we're not even 50 laps into a 300-lap race. If I'm going to race somebody that way, that they are going to try to race me the same way.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You have to kind of expect it. What's that old saying we learned in school? Something about, for every reaction, there's an equal and opposite reaction kind of thing.
I thought you were going to say treat others how you want to be treated, but I think they have the same message.
Yeah, yeah, the golden rule, as you're referring to. Yeah, same idea. So, if you're going to beat on someone's door, if you're going to beat on their bumper, that's why oftentimes we talk about in these races, you want to do that at a moment where someone can't do it back to you. Maybe you want to do a 2 to go. We want to do a 3 to go. This way you're confident someone maybe doesn't have the time to do it back to you. Well, here we are under caution, Evan. And this is caution number 4, I do believe, on lap 47.
And you did see one of the longer green flag runs of the race there. The majority of your race leaders have continued to defend track position. They've been out there for the entirety of the 47 laps that have been completed thus far. There has been some action on the pit lane. 20th on back is when there's a bit of a mixed bag. William Keck, Connor Robinson, and Nolan Hodson all pitted about 22 laps ago, so they'll have better tires than the cars in front of them. But then Love, Cibillo, Lim, Horton, Bomer, and Tinsley all came down pit road this last time. They've got fresh tires, but from the rear of the field, almost 50 laps in, another good start for Kuhn, and here comes AJ Pleemans on the bottom, trying to make a fight for second, couldn't get it to bite in the center of 1 and 2, and Terzak down to shut the door.
Terzak did a great job shutting the door right there is what he did. Up to P2. See that bright yellow machine of Parker Retzlaff who's still back there hanging out in 4th, and then right behind him is Kendrick Prayer and Chase Williamson fighting side by side. That's the iRacing car in the bottom with the all-black car up above. So they're having their first side-by-side. It's about 3 deep of side-by-side battles.
The top 4 single file. First battles for that number 5 spot. The number 9 of Cryer on the outside. The 15 of Chase Williamson on the bottom are the ones doing battle. Behind them, Petter, Racine, Drunowski into the conversation for the first time tonight after Mitch started back at the number 20 spot. So plenty of drivers who have had to work their way through the field on board with Michael J. Smith in P10. Watch it all on that side-by-side right in front of him. He picks allegiance to the inside lane for the moment. We'll see if that works.
Boy, isn't this a great shot right here? It just tells you how chaotic, how busy this race is. With 16-second laps at a half-mile facility, there's no such thing as a moment to breathe. This race is exhausting for a driver because every green flag lap, watch this. We're in the corner. Come right here through this corner. Let's count it out live here. You're getting about 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds, and you're already back on the brakes and into the corner. So every 4 seconds is all you get to breathe here and think about it before it's time to do something again.
And the onboard perspective as well in the corner shows you just how chaotic those corners are as well. It's not a nice gradual turn. There's a lot of side-to-side movement as drivers try to figure out when to roll out of the brakes, when they can apply full throttle again, and you even saw a couple of sparks showering off of the drivers up the road. There's a good suspension look at those cars in the corner. It's Joseph Galata's perspective for the driver that's in the number 11 spot. He dives down to the bottom, and you can see that blue car to his right-hand side. That's that Forrest Smith. Now you jump in the cab with Galata. Pulls in line behind that green and white entry. That's Racine.
By the way, that camera shot we had a second ago, Evan, I bet if this race goes on long enough green, that is, that camera shot a second ago will show some glowing orange tires and brakes down in that camera shot a little bit later once we get these cars kind of warmed up and really wearing these brakes a little bit more here. But the 15 and the 16 cars side by side. That's Mitch Drunowski on the outside. He's having a good run up there in that black and yellow car. And up against the wall he goes. And that's the advantage you get on the top side. You don't get the advantage of all the speed in the bottom of the corner, but you do a really great job at blocking the run, blocking the ability for the driver below you to track out and to get any kind of run off the corner. So there can be a small advantage to the top side at a short track like this.
You can see the back half of the field spread out a good bit. It is still that conglomerate of cars right around the battle for 10th. It continues to be the best stuff on the racetrack. Ryan Kuhn, still your leader up front. He's led all 60 laps that have been completed thus far. Kyle Turzak still in P2. Those cars started on the front row. They are about a second and a half ahead of this ongoing battle. The bottom had been the place to be. I think still is the place to be as a general note. But as more rubber gets put down on this racetrack, no longer being on the bottom is a guarantee that you're going to win out in this battle. Check this out. The 4 on the outside is the one making the passes. Smith through and clear, and now Galata trying to do the same on Chase Williamson, who is struggling right now on the inside.
Yeah, great job. Watch the hands on this wheel here, by the way. I know what you and I do shows, we always look at the wheels. We look at the hands of the driver. That should tell you how easy of a night someone's having. This is an open setup race, so these drivers got to make some changes to cars pre-race to kind of fit their style. And what I like here about watching with Racine here is there's not a lot of movement in his hands. It's a pretty small range, maybe outside the corner a little bit here, but what I do notice is the offset in that wheel. He's kind of almost like turning right to go straight on the front straight here.
Yeah, this thing, again, we talked about the fact that it's an open setup race. So these drivers, it's a run what you brought. It's best versus best. There is no equal playing field, and this thing is obviously tuned to go to the left, and he's basically counter-steering it the whole way down the straightaways. And again, the banking kind of guides the car into the corner. He's not actually turning that wheel to the left of center until he's halfway through the corner. That kind of yellow tape marker is going to be right of center up until the center of the corner seemingly every time.
Yeah, and that's one of the weird things. I call it weird because it's just a preference thing amongst drivers in sim racing. We have all these talks about, like VR or monitors or sim, motion rig or not, or socks or shoes for your brake pedals. But the same idea about how much of an offset do you prefer in your race car? That's very much a personal thing. Some drivers love that kind of offset where the wheels tilt to the right. Some people love to have it more straight. Here's Maverick Davis. Let's watch his offset here. It's going to be about the same, actually, as we saw before. So Maverick doing a great job up here in P12 and trying to race his way through. And that is Racine up ahead of him, we just saw a moment ago. By the way, I do want to point out, Evan, since we talked about tires and could they be important, P17 on your leaderboard on the left, William Keck is the first driver in the field here who has taken tires so far. He did so back on lap 26. So it'd be interesting to follow his progress. Could 26 lap newer tires mean something? I don't know. We'll find out.
He and Hodgson pitted together. They restarted together, but Keck has done a lot better off of the restart. He's pulled away from the next driver on those next best tires by a handful of positions, but he's still 4.5 seconds off of the leader. So he's got a little bit of cleaner racetrack. I think obviously the thing that's going to slow him down the most is all the cars he's going to have to pass. Can't do it for a moment, though. Caution out again. There's smoke off at turn number 4. It's the 11. So Joseph Galata around one of the drivers that we had been talking about plenty tonight and was just scored last time by inside of the top 10, runs into trouble.
I wonder if he got some help. I wonder if someone finally got a little impatient. We're going to find out in a moment with the replay here. And there's the 11. And he going to get a bump front and back? Yep, certainly did. Not the way I thought it was going to happen, if I'm honest with you. I thought maybe it was going to be kind of an inside move. Does he get a bump from the 17? Oh, yeah.
The 17 finishes him off, but it looks sideways, and I don't know.
100%.
I think he was a little confused going into the corner. The 4 car ahead of them, watch the blue car, was a little bit slow. So the 11, the whole time down the back straightaway, I think, is trying to figure out where's the 4 car going. because the 4 lost a lot of speed off of 2. The 4 was on the bottom, so the 11 entered the corner thinking he was going to take the outside, and it was kind of like a middle entry. He didn't enter in a lane, right? It wasn't a real lane. He was too busy thinking or trying to find out where the 4 was going to go, and he was starting to lose it on his own. I don't think he would have spun if he did not have the help from the 17, but I think the 17 gets into him because the 11 was having troubles in his own right.
Correct. Well, here we are. Remember, we talked about 4 sets of tires and doing the math. We're now working lap 75, and so there's a bunch of drivers, basically P17 on back, are now down pit road. So we'll have about a half and half split of this field, Evan, of drivers who now will be on newer tires. Maybe for William Keck, maybe 26 lap tires wasn't enough, assuming he did take tires on lap 26. But I think 75 lap tires may be a different story. By the way, I want to say,
our first big split of the night.
It is definitely. So I want to say hello to everyone out in Twitch chat, by the way, hanging out. They're discussing the things they're noticing in the race about Tyler Gary and the other drivers who are performing well. They're having a good old debate about socks, shoes, or barefoot for their pedals and iRacing. So at least for the Twitch chat, your Heroes Motorsports, I saw out there. A new favorite username, Tuna No Crust. I'm assuming referring to the sandwich was out there. And many others are out there in the Twitch chat. So guys, thanks. I know it's also a YouTube chat as well. But yeah, guys, thanks for hanging out on a Friday night and watching us.
I appreciate you being a part of it, and still a long way to go here in Pensacola, just shy of the 1/3 marker in this race. Still up front and in control of the field, the number 1 machine of Ryan Kuhn. We're back underway, 223 laps to go at the Five Flags Speedway. Battle for second. Terzak gonna shake off the 7. He's clear for P2. Now can Parker Retzlaff make some noise? It's been a little quiet in the yellow number 7. He sits 3rd. He will stay in front of AJ Plemons.
Yeah, there you go. You got clear right there. Plemons got himself in line, is ready now to make some moves on Terzak and maybe eventually up to the lead for Ryan Kuhn. Single file racing for the first 4 or 5 cars before we get double file here. That appears to be the trend all night, Evan. It's been about the first 4 cars that have been clear, and right about P5 where you see that it kind of starts to amp up a little bit and drivers want to make a move.
Top 4 single file, 2x2 for the battle for 5th on to back. Tracy Petter, Kendrick Cryer, in the number 6 spot, then Chase Williamson and Mitch Drudowski battling for the number 7 spot and the 8th position. Also, what this yellow is going to do is give William Keck an opportunity to make up some track position. We were talking about his tires, almost 30 laps better than the bulk of the leaders. He's up to the number 13 spot. Can he take advantage of the grouping of the field and try to continue to gain more spots? The outside so far looks like the better spot right now in the battle for P5. It gets better and better up top with each passing lap, and that time through and clear is Petter.
Yeah, that 15-car Chase Williamson stuck up top in an iRacing machine, and they're just passing on by one and slowly working their way on around here. And there's another car to move up top, but back up to lead here. It's the 1 car of Ryan Kuhn. Then it's Terzak and Parker Retzlaff in that order. 4th is Clemens. 5th is Tracy Petter, now clear in single file. And then they begin to battle on back. You know, making another iRacing connection to this track, Evan. When doing my research today, I found out, and I kind of maybe knew this and forgot, the record for qualifying at this track set about 10 years ago, the 2015 Snowball Derby, a 16.120 in real life. Ty Majeski has the qualifying record here at Five Flags Speedway.
Ty, of course, a longtime veteran of the iRacing service, has been known to come in and beat up on some folks in some of the big short track events on the sim when he was in his heyday on the iRacing service. And again, has been able to find a lot of success in the short track world, including some at the NASCAR National Touring level. There's some iRacing guys as well that have competed in either the Snowflake or the Snowball Derby as well. So that sim to reality connection that we always love talking about here with these iRacing special events holds strong with this event specifically, because we have seen many of iRacers turned to real world talents compete here at the Five Flags Speedway in December on an annual basis. Watching the 9 and the 4 fighting at the moment. It's Michael J. Smith up top. You can't miss him in the blue. Trying to clear the number 9 of Kendrick Cryer. They continue to flow back and forth. No advantage to either driver at the minute. And in front of them now, AJ Pleeman's looking like Tracy Petter's putting up a fight. That one's going to be for P4.
It's a great battle going on back through the field here. Right there's that battle you're talking about on your screen for P4. And boy, that 9 car on the bottom got his tires below the white line. And I got nervous for a second if he was going to hold on to it. But actually, the 3 car part on the bottom is who hit the white line down there a moment ago and coming back up. And that's going to allow eventually for that pass to happen right there for P4, I thought. But no, we're not done yet.
Yeah, plenty of fighting to go. And one of the dynamics we always mention with these special events is the kind of first half of the races at R&D session is what I like to say, but you're trying to feel out not only your car, your track, how things are reacting to the weather conditions, but also the rest of the field, right? Who's aggressive, who's taking it easy, who can you race tight with, who are you not comfortable doing that with, who's going to beat tires earlier, who's going to be the conservationist earlier. That's all what's going on right now at an average speed still of, call it 110 miles an hour still as an average around this racetrack. 3 gets a little bit high that time. Williamson trying to get underneath, not going to be able to do it, but highly competitive stuff from 4th on back. The top 3 drivers, they have checked out. Kuhn, Turzak, and Retzlaff running away from this battle 4th on back.
Yeah, and by the way, I want to go ahead and point out that car, the 16 car back in P7. That's Mitch Drunowski. He's up 13 spots on the evening. He's tied, I believe, for the most spots gained this evening so far. So Mitch has not taken tires yet. He's part of that crew that stayed out under this last caution, but is having a good time working his way through the field. By the way, of the drivers that took tires, it is P12 on your leaderboard on the left, Joseph Galata. He is the first driver I can tell from timing and scoring that would have been on the pits on lap 75. So that name is worth watching as we're now on board here, Evan. And let's see if we can see any kind of indications as he gets through the corners. Does he hold a line better? Is he able to brake later? Looks pretty smooth, but I don't see any big advantages so far for Galata.
And obviously he's been able to work through the field aggressive. That 13 machine of Liebel does not want to allow Galata to get underneath, but it speaks for itself. We had been tracking the William Keck advantage of 26 lap better tires. Well, Galata, who pitted on the most recent yellow, has already passed Keck and a handful of other drivers who are still out there on the tires that they started this race in. So Galata is the lead car in the running order who has come down pit road at any point in this race. The 11 is currently the benchmark to watch.
And I mean, the good news is he has new tires. The bad news is with a track this short of a half mile and this fast, it's going to be hard to make passes here, even with new tires. You see right now he's kind of peeking up top. There's no way he's going to push it 3 wide with the 4 and the 13. So he's got to try and find a way around. But every lap that he's stuck behind these 2 cars, he's kind of almost throwing away those new tires. And not on purpose, not that he's doing anything wrong. It just kind of kills that advantage. Up front here on P9, this is Maverick Davis. Oh, they're 3 wide. That's the 13, the 25, and the 4. And no one's budging. Fine.
Maverick Davis, somehow the winner. Often when you go 3 wide, the driver who wins out, not normally the sandwich in that one, but the 25 comes through the center, and Maverick Davis into a number 9 spot, holds off for the time being. And again, the 4 and the 13 know that Joseph Galata is behind them, and more are coming. Ryan Matthews, fresh tires. He's 2 spots behind them. Brett Hahn, Tyler Gary, Jun Seo Lim, they also pitted on the most recent yellow. They are about a second back also. So at some point for the 11 to Galata, you got to make a decision here as we are now through the first 100 laps of this iRacing Winter Derby. Do I want to let this battle continue and take it easy, not force the issue? Or does he feel like the longer I sit back here, even though I'm not pushing my car, I'm losing the percentage of my tires being better than theirs every time we go around, and I need to make something happen. He has hit the wall again, though. So Galata 2 times into the fence off of 2, but still holding patient. I'm just curious how long that patience will last.
The other thought process might also be, listen, they just went 3 wide. That's a dangerous move at this racetrack. I don't want to be stuck right behind him. If those guys would have wrecked 3 wide, Galata probably would have been the first victim as he's now trying to dig to the inside here. So for Galata, it might also be now you feel the pressure to get around these guys because you know they'll make some moves that maybe aren't advisable, and you don't want to be the victim. You don't want to be that guy who has brand new tires and then throws it all away because you get a crinkled car, you know, in some kind of an incident. Boy, that's Maverick Davis up top. That car wiggled through that corner. So this is getting a little racy up here.
Highly competitive stuff from the jump, and now on one of the longest green flag runs of the night that we've seen. I would not have put money on that being the one with the first big tire strategy, but it is the case as Liebel had a big moment that time in the front stretch. It's going to allow Davis to get clear, and now Joseph Galata, no longer with the 2 wide roadblock in front of him, has to pick a spot, trying to go to the outside of Liebel, who parks the bus in the middle of the road. He does not want to make this easy either. AJ Pleeman's the one on the bottom as well in that battle you saw. So a lot going on. Battle for 6th. Behind them, it's the battle for 9th.
Boy, and while all this battles have, ooh, look at those hands for a second there from Mitch Drunowski. By the way, this is the driver who mentioned earlier. It's up 14 spots on the night. That is the most of any driver. But those hands were busy a second ago as we're now on board with Kendrick Cryer up here in P8. But as all this battling is happening, Evan, it's worth noting these guys might be having fun. They might be fighting. They might be throwing, you know, elbows and having a great time. But they are letting Kuhn, Terzak, and Retzlaff walk away from this field.
They have checked out more than 2 seconds. In 3 wide we go again. This time it's Davis on the outside, Liebel the center, Galata on the bottom. The 11 decides to no longer force the issue. He tucks back in line. Again, all of this going on while Galata tries to find a way through. Is that patience indeed wearing thin? And the 13 bouncing around like a pinball in the center lane just got into Pleeman's.
Boy, this is getting rough. This is getting a little aggressive. And sometimes as a driver, I like to say, you have a sense. There's this sense you get either at a short track or maybe at a super speedway where you can kind of feel it coming, right? You know, people with arthritis say they can feel the rain coming in their bones. As a driver, you almost can start to sense when a pileup is coming, when a wreck is coming, when an incident is coming. And if these guys keep wiggling like this, it won't be long before that happens here soon.
Around and around they go, closing in on halfway home in this iRacing Winter Derby. 13 machine of Liebel doing battle with Pleeman's, but again, the big winner of that is that 11. Joseph Galata got through. It took him some time. He's the man to watch. He is the lead car on better tires, nearly to the tune of 70 laps better than all the other cars that he's running around. So yes, the leaders have pulled out to 2 seconds over 4th place on back, but they are not the fastest car on track. It is Galata. He just got another spot now, passing the 9 of Cryer for P7.
Yeah, he's about a 1/10 of a second faster per lap. And maybe that doesn't sound like a lot, but when you consider how fast these laps are, that is a massive number. And now you look at Galata up there, he'll have a little bit of clean air up ahead before he gets to his next car. So he'll be able to make up a little bit more time possibly on this field. There's Galata in the back of the shot in the 11. The next car up for him will be Mitch Drunowski. So we'll see what he can make happen there. But this has been a great race so far. Knock on wood. I hate to be that guy to say it. It's been a good run here since lap 75. We're approaching a pretty solid run. I think we might actually be approaching Evan longer. Oh my goodness, Galata. We might be approaching longer than any green flag run so far this evening.
Yeah, I think we've eclipsed that mark and starting to as well kind of get into the late afternoon here in sim as well. So, you know, just past 2 p.m. Cloudy. I don't think we're going to get all the way to a point where daylight's going to be a concern, but certainly some cloud cover. Darkening turns 3 to 4. You can see a lot of the shade. We always talk about how the dynamic weather will impact track temperature. Curious if that's playing a factor into maybe why some drivers do it better than others, is taking advantage of the overcast conditions that have suddenly engulfed the Five Flags Speedway And again, you haven't seen the look up front in a while. You're not missing anything. It's still Kuhn, Turzak, and Retzlaff in that order. This is the show for P4 on back, and the number 10 just trying to get out of the way. That's a lapped car, not for position. James Bromar yields to the outside, and it is Tracy Petter, Joseph Galata, and company.
This is the battle up front. This is the checkout they have going on currently. And they're just kind of riding along. They've been in this same spot of 1, 2, 3 for as long as I can remember. But here is the battle. Now there is Joseph Galata. Now he's up to 4th. He's made the pass. And assuming he gets a run around here, and he will. Now the question in my brain, Evan, he'll have clean track up ahead. I'm going to keep an eye on his laps for the next 5 or so laps. I want to see what he can do. Clean track, newer tires, and he's about, what, 2 seconds back? I'm curious how much of a gap he can close.
You know, he's got clean air. That's the biggest thing. I mean, he has consistently made up time while working through traffic. So now that he has clean real estate, it should be a lot better. Look at the 15. What a throw for Williamson. The slide job on Tracy Petter, who gave him a shot coming out of the corner. They have a bit of a discussion on the radio, but it works out if you're the 15, because in the end, you got the spot. That's all that matters. So Williamson through also. It's, to me, impressive what Galata's done, though, that the rest of the cars who pitted haven't been able to do. He is by far not the only car who has better tires. Gary's got him, Lim's got him, Hans got him. Well, those names I just mentioned still running 14th, 15th, and 18th. They just have not been able to get through the field like Joseph Galata has.
So here's the downside of that conversation, though, is we're now riding on board with Cameron Liebel back here in P9. Look what Galata's done. He's got himself up to P4 on the checkerboard, but those laps, I mean, they're most laps are about even with our leaders right now. He's gaining a little bit here or there, but I think maybe he's already burned off those tires, kind of fighting his way through traffic. If we go back into P14 to the 6-car Tyler Gary, a driver you're really familiar with from eNASCAR, he's riding along. Now, he may not have had the big gains of Galata, but I bet he has more tire left in that car than Galata.
And you also look at how long this run is going. He waited until about 80 laps into the race to come down and get tires, Galata that is, for the first time in this race. If we go past the halfway point, even closer to a 2/3 marker, even if you get a yellow at that point, Galata may have been able to get a long enough run to where he would come back down anyways and still like where he is on tire allotment. So that's the bit of luck that I mentioned, right? Yes, there is strategy. Galata obviously made the right call. He waited long enough to come down pit road to where fresh tires would actually give him a meaningful advantage. But if we only had a caution every 10 laps for, you know, the next 50 laps after that, he would not be able to do what he's currently doing with it. So it is that execution of your strategy, and it is a little bit of the race coming to you. And right now, I think you gotta like what you're seeing. If you're Galata, the gap down to the race lead is about to be sub 2 seconds.
And what I like if I'm Galata, what I like to see is right ahead of our leaders, there's Ryan Kuhn up at the front of these 3 cars, and he is about to face a little bit of a pack, a little bit of a herd of lap traffic, if you will. So that may benefit Galata. As these 3 drivers need to navigate that lap traffic, it may allow Galata to catch up with them here and close that gap. That's the gap you see on your screen right there from the yellow car on back. It is still about 1.8 seconds between them from that yellow car of Parker Retzlaff back to Joseph Galata in the 11.
It's hard to miss the yellow car, which is the 3rd one in line of Retzlaff. And this is such an interesting dynamic too, right? They're about to get to some lap traffic. That's going to be fun to watch as kind of the sub-story to the battle that's going on as Galata runs them down. But if you're Ryan Kuhn, how are you reading the 2 drivers behind you, right? Turzak and Retzlaff have been on your bumper. So are you pushing 100% and they're struggling to keep up with you? Or are they saving a little bit and simply just giving enough pressure to force you to push the car To me, it's one of the two. I don't think these cars are identical on speed. There is some amount of gamesmanship going on with these in the top three.
I would agree with that, but right now, if I'm Ryan Kuhn, I have to kind of throw that out the window right now, and I need to start worrying about the cars up ahead. I believe the next three cars up ahead here for him are going to be Nolan Hodgson, Chris Wimbley, and Keegan Sabillo will be the next three cars he's going to face here for his lap traffic. So for the moment, he needs to stop worrying about what's behind him and make sure he can navigate what's ahead, because if he navigates that pretty well, this could go from being a little three-car parade that has right here behind him to him getting around these cars better than the others and maybe putting a gap on them. So I think right now what's ahead is way more important. Working lap 145 happy here with us here on the iRacing Network. And there's the first pass, Evan.
Yeah, gonna get around the number 30 machine, so down a lap goes Hodgson on the outside. Made that one easy for the leaders, but you're gonna catch a battle at some point. It may be the Wimbley and Sabillo battle for 23rd and 24th, but it's gonna be difficult for Kuhn at some point. You gotta make the right decisions, and again, it's not as easy anymore, I think, as, first 75 laps of the race, you wanted to be on the bottom. Now that the track is rubbered in a little bit, I think both lanes are a viable option. So where do you go if you're Mr. Ryan Kuhn, who has been perfect so far, just 1 minute away from being halfway home in tonight's 300-lap challenge? He'll go to the bottom of the 26. Looks like Terzak and Retzlaff will follow suit. It's going to be an uneventful disposal of the number 26 of Wimbley. And now if you can get to them one at a time and compartmentalize the lap traffic, makes it a whole lot easier.
Certainly does. It will make it way easier for Ryan Kuhn, Terzak, and Retzlaff here. But it's all about where do they catch this car. Ryan Kuhn wants to catch him on the front straight. He wants to get on around this car and be done with it. Because if you catch these guys in a corner and you're side by side or what have you, it can really mess with the lines you're trying to run. Parker Retzlaff is the one I'm most concerned about, though, Evan, because by the time that the leader passes a lapped car, it could be Retzlaff gets stuck. I thought it was going to happen the first time they got to a lapped car, where Retzlaff was going to get stuck here trying to clear the cars. There's a little bit of wiggle right there, and this could open the gap a little bit here between Retzlaff and our leader.
Yeah, this is going to be a bubble, per se, not only for the gap between Galata, Retzlaff, the leaders, but also a bubble in the lap traffic. We kind of lined up 3 or 4 of them in a row there, sat them down, and at least out of Ryan Kuhn's windshield, he doesn't see any other cars. Mainly it's because the straights are so curved that you can't see a car when they're really only a straightaway away from you. That's part of it, I'll be fair. But he does have a lot bigger of a gap. So now all the things that the leaders had to deal with, Galata is going to have to go through as well as a single car. I also sometimes wonder, if you see the top 3 drivers closing in on your bumper, Derek, you might going to be a little bit incentivized as the lapped car to yield a little bit more. But once that becomes P4, in the case of Galata, and 5 and 6 and 7, like at some point you're not just going to roll over for everybody. So I tend to think that Galata would probably have a bit more difficult of a time getting by some of the lap traffic, just because they're probably not as aware of what that car's up to as they are the leader.
So it can go both ways, though, right? The flip side of the argument is that right now, if I were a lapped car who was, in danger of getting caught, Chris Horton would be the next one, by the way, I may want to fight harder not to let Ryan Kuhn by, because I want to keep on the lead lap in case something happens. I don't want to be a lap down. But once I'm a lap down, I might give in and say, all right, listen, you got me, okay, like there's no need to fight everyone back. I'm a lap down whether third place passes me or not. So it does go both ways in an argument sometimes about how someone can perceive that moment. But I like what you said, though. Galata does have a gap here. It has closed, by the way. He's down about 1.3 seconds up to these front cars. But there's now definitely a gap between them. And here's our first green flag pit stop.
First one of the night as Tracy Petter dives to the pit lane. Had been out there for all 157 laps. And now the question is that the number? We are past halfway, so we know everybody could go at least 250 laps out of fuel and make it a one-stopper. That's another wrinkle in the strategy, is if the number's close to 150, Kuhn, Terzak, Retzlaff, they only need to come down once total. For Galata, who pitted well shy of the halfway point. If he has to pit again, well, that would hurt, obviously, because he gave up track position and would then be coming down a complete additional time. So chatter's starting to light up. Brad Newman's in as well. Still nothing from the top three. When do they bite?
Now, the flip side of the argument, again, to be that guy, for Golota, what you're hoping for in a way is that you get around these guys, they pit, maybe they get stuck a lap or two down, and then the caution happens, right? And then they get trapped a lap down, and you kind of see how this race can go on and what you can take advantage. More calls of pitting this time, and not our leaders yet, but I keep hearing more and more people say, I'm pitting, I'm pitting, I'm pitting.
And Michael J. Smith is in, and then Chase Williamson, one of the top 5 drivers, he is down pit road also to get scheduled service. Kendrick Cryer, and here comes the leader for the first time. It's not going to be the number 1 of Ryan Kuhn, scored in the number 1 spot. He is down for service, and it is lap lead number 1 for Kyle Turzak. What is the response from the 19 and the 7? Do they come down immediately? No, it's going to be at least one more trip around.
Yeah, at least a couple trips around, I would suspect here. They could have saved a couple laps of gas by riding behind him the whole time. So even if they are going to be quote out of gas, they can go around, and again, they're going to go. No indication of pulling down in the pit road that time here. So you keep going on. You see some shots from pit road in the bottom of your screen. Right now, it's Turzak, Retzlaff, and Golota, your top 3.
Drudowski says he's going to be coming down pit road. He is scored in the number 4 spot. All of this is just a slow drip until inevitably Golota is going to be scored as the leader. I think Retzlaff said that he'd be coming down pit road this time. Let's watch the top 2 as they head off to turn number 3. Turzak still at speed. He stays out. Retzlaff is in. This is a pretty tricky pit lane entry as well. A lot of these short tracks, nothing like a NASCAR oval in terms of pit road entries. It is sketchy to kind of sidestep those pit walls in the center of turn 3.
And that time when Turzak was down pit road, you heard him yell multiple times, I'm pitting, I'm pitting, I'm pitting, I'm pitting. He wanted to make sure everyone behind him knew, did not want to have any issues, and the way he is down pit road. By the way, this pit road, slow is a good word for it. It is a very slow crawl down pit road, and I believe right now, the delta is going to be 2 laps down if you pit under green.
So Retzlaff in and out cleanly. We saw the trip down to the pit lane. Oh, and a caution. There it is in the middle of pit service. Caution flag is out. Joseph Golota had just assumed the number 1 position. And this is going to be a mess to figure out the running order.
Well, I'm going to say it right now. If I'm Joseph Golota, there's no way I pit. Watch the replay first. Here's the 29, got in the back of the 12. The 12 for the second time. Backs it into the wall after being hit and have contact made with them this evening. But if I'm Golota, there's no way I would have done that. If I would have stayed out, I would have trapped those cars on the lap they're on, and I would have worried about pitting later under the next caution or something. There's no way I would have given these drivers a free pass around.
He had been out there for 97 laps, so could have gone at least another 60, certainly not the full distance. So clearly the decision for Golota here is, I'm going to make my long-term move instead of a short-term move, right? He's going to get fuel, and that car should now be good to go to the end of this race, but the expense of that is, you don't stay out there to pin a bunch of cars a lap down unless somebody else on the lead lap does the job for you. It's going to be 4 tires and a fuel for him. A big win for the likes of Maverick Davis, right? The handful of drivers who had still yet to pit at all in this race and had been out there for 168 laps, needing to pit almost immediately because they'll get the free pit stop and a huge boost of track position.
Yeah, so we're going to wait for everyone to come around and get the pits completed, and then we'll figure out how everyone's actually going to line up here, who's a lap down, who's not. Currently, it looks like there's going to be 12 cars on the lead lap, so we'll wait and see if that holds true once everything is done. There's Golota. Remember, he was your leader before the yellow came out. Currently, I believe still being scored first. We'll see if that holds true.
You'll see, I think Galata will indeed cycle through to the number 1 position, and we'll figure out where everybody else falls in terms of who's stuck a lap down or not. Notably, Ryan Kuhn, the dominant car of the night, currently showing as one of the drivers a lap down. It is a mad dash at the rear of the field as all of the wave-around cars struggle to catch back up on this half mile, but the pace car says good enough to go. Green flag in the air, 124 laps to the end of this race.
Well, credit to Galata. I was a little critical of that move, but he kept the lead and still pitted, so he has newer tires and the lead. Watch here, third P3. That is a great battle happening right there with Keck. We talked about earlier, he had that tire advantage earlier. He's now made the pass, I believe, on the 22 car. And up to P5 he's going to go.
Something else to look for. A couple of big names out of this race. Dallas Pataska's night quietly ended a little bit ago, but Wyatt Tinsley also going to go behind the garage. And up front on the outside, how about Maverick Davis? Talked about all the moves that Galata had been making. We talked about how the luck factors in. Well, Davis was 1, maybe 2 laps away from pitting. Now he's got fresh tires, and he may be the best car positioned because he qualified 10th, Derek. That's better than Galata, P16 on speed. Tyler Gary, P24 on speed. I mean, of the cars who are up front right now, he qualified the best out of all of them. Does that mean he has the best race pace? Not necessarily, but a heck of a run on the outside for Davis to get his first lead of the race.
Great run, isn't it? See the battle right here happening with Galata. He is now back in P3, having the battle here and trying to see what he can retain out of this race. As we see identical paint schemes up top, different numbers, different number colors, but he's got to feel like he's seeing double on the bottom here.
Big mess. This is all going on for third on back. Joseph Galata thought that he was riding high, but he is struggling out of the gate here. The number 6 machine, that is not for position, but that's a car that's just getting ahead of him better on pace. It is, sorry, that's Gary in second, but then Keck gets by for third, and now the number 19 machine of Terzak, that's the one that's not for position. Terzak right now is the lead car 1 lap down, so not for position. He has scored in the number 12 spot. Ryan Kuhn, 4th driver, 1 lap down with even more work to do.
Yeah, Terzak would love to get around here and get his lap back, what we call the old-fashioned way. Wouldn't he love to get up there and just kind of race the leaders so he can get that lap back? But for now, he is stuck here in this moment. He's got Galata next to him, and then Gary and Keck, P2, P3. Tyler Gary, by the way, up 22 spots in the evening. William Keck up 24 spots in the evening. So these drivers both having a great run here so far in the Winter Derby.
Into beating into banging there. Again, Terzak knows a lot of these guys have been racing heads up with him for much of this race. So this is kind of the rare instances, Derek, where you can't really be surprised that the guy a lap down is racing the leaders harder than vice versa.
No, that's exactly correct. I agree with that 100% here. So, boy, these 2 cars right here. Oh, one's way up top. That's going to be
Keck.
the 23. Keck just got caught way up top in the corner. Lost a couple of spots here behind Galata. Now under attack, I believe, by Mick Gingras.
Keck did a good job of catching that car. He got way up and out of the rubber, but was able to reel it back in. Galata got the spot from him in the end, so Joseph's up and in the number 3 spot. Again, Tyler Gary still in P2. Then the lapped car of Terzak, then your leader, Maverick Davis, in the number 25, closing in on 100 laps to go in this race. Could be possibly stretch out to another long green flag run and let the strategy that has been handed to some, earned by others, play itself out.
Well, I think the good news is here for the top 6 or so is that they're good on pit stops. If we saw our leaders go like 150 some before they pitted, that means everyone up here who's pitted now on lap 172, I believe was the number under that caution. We're good. They can stay out here and race forever if this stays green. So now it's working lap 190 of 300. Inside your head, the laps are ticking down pretty quickly here. And for Galata, he is trying everything he can to get around this green car. He wants to get around Tyler Gary, course, Tyler, a well-known iRacer, someone you've commentated races on a few times, and so this is a big notch in your belt if you can beat Tyler Gary.
It's no easy feat, but I think it's interesting to note if that 19 gets back to the lead lap, he's going to be something to be reckoned with, because I know it's not for position. The battle here is, as we continue to watch second and third, but if we can peek up to the leader, Maverick Davis was reeled in, caught, and quickly passed by the 19 of Kyle Terzak. So Terzak is now back on the lead lap, still in the same spot, P12, a whole lap behind the leaders, but very clearly has a faster race car than what our leader Maverick Davis has.
And the benefit to that is you're not worried about being lucky dog, which lucky dogs are on in this race, by the way. But that means if something does happen, caution does come out, you get to drive around the field, catch the field, and pit under caution, and not have to worry about the whole dropping to the end of the line as a lucky dog or any of that stuff. So you do want to be out there and get your lap back the old-fashioned way, as we would say it. So this battle right here, this 11 car, is just the meat and a green car sandwich.
Looking for other trends. Where are the other drivers laps down? I mentioned Ryan Kuhn was at one point the fourth car one lap down. He now assumes the first car one lap down position in the number 13 spot. He is nowhere near, though, a position to get his lead lap back. He is behind this ongoing battle for second that we continue to watch. So he's got some work to do still, but again, all he needs to do is get onto the lead lap, catch a yellow, and then it's a wide open and it's a brand new game, because if you can get it back to the lead lap on your own right, don't worry about the lucky dog. You have the opportunity to pit with the rest of the leaders if we see any pit stops under the yellow in the second half of this race. And look at this battle. I mean, Joseph Galata did not get the start he wanted. If this car is better on the long run, then he's still far from out of this thing. He fell quick off of the lead. Davis basically blitzed him off of the restart, but it is settled in now, and he is doing everything he can to keep next to that 6 of Tyler Gary for P2.
Boy, I bet Galata wishes he could track out just once up the wall and get that speed. He made a little door bump right there with Tyler Gary. Galata just would love to get up off this corner all the way, get up to the wall and get the speed in that car and make a move happen, but he just can't do it right now. He's been under attack, or had cars above him in lanes ever since his restart. Even before that, I think had some moments. There's another small bit of contact. It's getting a little punchy here between Galata and Gary.
That's what we like, is eventually short track tempers are going to flare if they continue to race in close quarters. We've seen it earlier in the race, a couple of cars racing tight, somebody makes a mistake, it ends up bad for one of the parties. Is that going to happen here? And oh, now Ryan Kuhn is on the scene. That one car not for position, but again for Kuhn, larger stories here. Trying to get back onto the lead lap to get back into this race after leading the first 162 laps consecutively and pretty much uncontested. Galata, though, losing some ground on the bottom now. Tyler Gary clear of the battle for P2 on the outside. Second spot is his. William Keck about to do the same. So Galata slips to fourth real quickly.
Yeah, slip back a little bit here and see if he gets behind the one and sort of starts to run his own race here. Maybe he got tired of being kind of caught in that lane. Maybe he got tired of having to run someone else's braking points, someone else's lines. He may back it up here and just try and save it for yet another run. Up front is Tyler Gary, William Keck, second and third. Of course, they are trying to catch Maverick Davis, who has not quite walked away to the level that those cars had before Evan, but I mean, he's almost up to 1 second of a lead here over P2.
It has started to stretch out in advantage of the leader. Can it eclipse the 1 second marker for the first time since we go back green? Yes, it does. It goes to a full 1 second now between the leader and the battle for the number 2 position on back. Again, the leader, Maverick Davis, had stayed out, did not make a single pit stop, but after nearly 165 laps run, caught a yellow just before he was about to be one of the last lead lap cars to come down pit road. So he pitted as the leader. He comes back out into the number 1 position, runs away with a better restart compared to Joseph Galata, and is the best car at the moment, but is not the fastest car on track. Turzak, one of the leaders before the pit cycle, he drove his way back to the lead lap. He's in 11th. Ryan Kuhn, the dominant car, trying to do the same. There's still at least a half a dozen race cars that could probably win this thing.
Yeah, I would say that's a pretty accurate. I mean, Collada's been touching the wall a little bit here and there, by the way. That yellow car, that's Parker Retzlaff. He is not on the lead lap, and caution's out. Hold on. Let's come back to that topic, because that may be important. Parker Retzlaff, 1 lap down, is not in the lucky dog position. Last I looked, that would have been Ryan Kuhn in the 1 car. So here's what happened to bring out the caution. Car all by himself in the 13, just lost it all by himself, hits the wall, gets it stopped, and yellow is out.
And that's big for 2 reasons. One, of course, Turzak had already gotten back to the lead lap in this thing, and we're going to have pit stops. We went hundreds of laps without service, and now a handful of cars from the lead lap want fresh tires after only 40. Sabillo, Gary, Keck, Hodgson. No surprise that Kyle Turzak is down pit road. Chris Horton also going to be in. So a lot of lead lap cars down pit road. It's a 50-50 split of the lead lappers. Now, the reason we stressed so much in the importance for Ryan Kuhn to get back to the lead lap in this race is because if he did so, he would not have to stay out to reassume his lead lap positioning. I think, depending on if enough cars came in, he'll be down pit road this time. He may, with a quick enough pit stop, be able to get away with servicing and being scored back on the lead lap, because I think he's already gotten the wave around. So I'm really curious where Ryan Kuhn cycles out. Well, watch as the field goes by the pit lane. And again, these super late model pit stops, it is not NASCAR Cup Series, if that's your benchmark for oval racing. They take a lot longer. Right side tires go on Kuhn's machine, so it's going to be a 2-tire stop only. It appears that that car is going to be scored right now, lap 213. The leaders are on 214. So I think Ryan Kuhn may indeed across the stripe. He's got his lead lap back. And that means that this is a whole new ball game, because Kuhn, who's led the most laps in this race, is back on the lead lap. Kyle Turzak, who was a force to be reckoned with at a top runner, he's on the lead lap on fresh tires in 9th. And you've got Maverick Davis and Joseph Galata on the front row. Green flag back in the air. 86 laps to go in Pensacola.
Here we are, final 100 laps, less than that now, 86 to go. This is where it's going to get tight. Everyone's going to get aggressive. Everyone's going to get angry. It's going to become a race here all the way through. Multiple black flags. James Beaumont must have had a big wreck. He now has some required repairs. Race control wants him to fix. I saw a black flag before that, so we'll see if we can address those later. But up front is Maverick Davis. He's leading Galata, Gingras, Keck, Hahn, and more around this historic speedway.
And I'm looking for those fast cars in the midfield. Turzak and Kuhn, are they going to be able to get through the field? Look at the 19 on the bottom already. Going to make a move on Nolan Hodgson now to the inside and through on Tyler Gary. So Turzak, P6, not done yet. Now to the inside of the 28 like a hot knife through butter. Cutting through the field. Turzak is the first man up, second man up, I should say, on the fresh tires. Keck's the first, who's going for the race lead.
Yeah, going for the race lead very quickly here is what he's doing. And again, another car in the bottom, just holding that bottom lane, is passing on the bottom, already setting up his next pass here to get back into turns 1 and 2.
25 of Davis. Is he going to try to force the issue here? The 23 has got him by 40-lap tires. I don't think there's anything in the arsenal for Maverick Davis to do. Admittedly, he was once the man on the tire advantage previous run, and it's going to flip the other way. And William Keck and Kyle Turzak, fresh tires, going to storm their way to the front row. Keck gets his first lap lead of the afternoon. But I think straight up pace now, these two cars, same strategy as one another. Turzak the advantage, but another caution. A lot of smoke in one as Chase Williamson has heavy left side damage.
Yeah, we'll see what happened there. And this will slow this race down for the moment. You'll run a chance to breathe, but watch the replay here. Watch the middle of your screen. Oh, there it is. Right there's the contact. And boy, oh boy, they're 3 wide. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 cars involved in this caution.
That was a couple of big hits. I mean, I saw the left side damage on Williamson at first, but that really came from the car-to-car contact. He also hit the outside wall pretty hard. So did the 28 machine, who gets a pretty big lick in that one. So I think by far the biggest accident we've seen of the night, but that may be a race ender for the 15 machine of Williamson, because that car was up in the air and then got hit right on the left front tire, and I think it destroys the front suspension of that machine. That's going to be something that's hard to come back from.
Yeah, I would agree. That's probably a night ender, I would think, for that car. So if what's going to calm us down, give us a chance to breathe after that exciting restart, it's going to be Keck, Terzak, Sabillo, Gary, and Hodgson, your top 5. And a couple cars down pit road here. I think most of these cars involved on pit road, though, were involved in that wreck. I was curious to see if Galata was going to come down. He did, I believe, come down on lap 224.
You can see Jordowski's going to get into the longest line of penalty. He'll drop to the rear of the field, and a couple more drivers down pit road for service. AJ Plemons is down and in from the tail end of the lead lap. Chase Williamson still down. He is getting extended repairs after we saw the heavy damage that car took in the turn 1 accident. Well, we are inside of 75 laps to go, so is it time to make your race-winning decision? I think we may have seen the last of our long green flag runs of the night. I'd love to see it race out, but we had a lot of green flag racing in the middle of this race, and I think drivers are going to flip the switch to kill now, and there's not going to be a lot of give. It's going to be all take with the premier short track event on the sim, the iRacing Winter Derby. Checkered flag sitting about 74 laps away from us when we come by the start-finish line this time through. Keck, Terzak, fresh tires. Don't count out Ryan Kuhn from P6 either. What a start for the number 23.
Oh, spinning. Big wreck.
Behind. The 11 car is up in the air. What a mess after a strange start for the 23. Had huge stack-up effects through the field, and we're still wrecking.
Still wrecking. 11 hit the 28 right there. They were trying to get turned around. And boy, oh boy, I'm curious to see if maybe a missed gear caused that, or what may have caused that wreck right on the restart here. That'll be interesting to see. As we're going to see a lot of drivers either get black flags or maybe some meatball flags for required repairs after this caution.
In your first glances, I thought the 23 brake checked the car behind him, but looking at the speed, Keck's speed doesn't change at all. I think that was Terzak just anticipating, hey, when the pace car drops down, the 23 is going to go. We mentioned earlier the disadvantage that being the outside car has is you just can't see what the leader's doing. I think he guesses, everybody else goes with him, and Keck, who is the control car and rightfully gets to determine when the race restarts, didn't go right away. So at first I thought 23 brake check looked a little bit suspect, but looking at the speed, I think it was everybody else getting too antsy. And when they all got on the gas and realized he's not going, you slam the brakes and you get that accordion effect just like you would with a wreck on the freeway.
Yeah, just someone trying to predict something. Watch the replay, watch up top here, and it's, oh yeah, back to about 4th on line. Someone went up in the middle and 3 wide, and it just kept wrecking on back. And boy, oh boy, there's so many cars involved, so many cars with potential tonight wrecked out of this race, or at least with some heavy repairs to get done. Joseph Galata is one of them. I thought for sure that car was going to drive back up front again, Evan, but he now has some damage, and his night's not done. He's still on track, but I'm concerned that maybe he's going to lose that advantage. Watch what's going to happen about 3rd on back. Oh, a big bump from one white car to another, sent this car's up the hill 3 wide, and then it just wrecked from there.
And a big moment that kind of sneaks by there is the fact that Ryan Kuhn just avoided the 30 coming up. The 30 goes high and doors the 26. Kuhn might have avoided getting tagged in the left rear by maybe a half a foot, and that's being generous. So Kuhn, the one to watch for. Again, he was the dominant car early. He skates through unscathed. He'll be 5th in line for the single file restart. This time, Keck goes early. Green flag back in the air.
We should mention this is a unique feature of this race type, where if we do get back-to-back cautions, race control can put these restarts in a single file to kind of help make sure we don't have repeats and repeats and repeats of yellow flags. So that's why we are single file this time.
So Keck got the good start, but here we go. Battle for the race lead is on. Up at the front of the field. To the inside, Kyle Terzak on the bottom of Keck. Side by side for the #1 spot in Pensacola. 8/10 ahead of everybody else. 2 cars shot out of a cannon on the restart. Going at it for P1.
There's the battle right here. This is Terzak. This is Keck. They are fighting hard, and boy, I thought for sure Keck might catch the back end of that car there, but they're racing hard. Terzak wants to clear him. He has the bottom. That's about as close to a real slide job as I thought we were going to get there. I thought 19 was going to pull up, but wasn't clear. Had he made that move, that would have been the ultimate definition of a slide job.
So in the end, Terzak gets the spot from William Keck. Now trouble behind, another quick caution off of a restart, and around is Tyler Gary from a top 5 spot.
A favorite in the Twitch chat this evening, Tyler Gary, is what's going to happen to him. That green car, and he's going to get it a little bit around. And that was Maverick Davis right behind him. I'm not sure if Maverick Davis hit him first. I thought he just got the car loose, and you know what? I'm impressed. There's a car parked in the top lane of a corner here at Five Flags, and watch this. No one is going to hit him. That is wow.
It's hard to look on the hard to look on the bright side when you're a top 5 car and you get spun out, but did he get a little bit there, or was that just the car settling in? Either way, I think he got a little bit from the 18, but that car could have been on the hook. Yeah, if he got what I thought. Yeah, what I thought was going to happen to him when he was parked sideways in the middle of the field. So I do think, though, that little bit of damage that he gets and the setback of track position, that's probably going to take Tyler Gary out of this race, I would think. Or contention to win the race, also.
Yeah, contention, I would say, unless something weird happens. I agree with contention is probably the right word for that. So we'll wait and see if he's able to make it back up. We're quickly counting down the laps here, so that would seem unlikely. It's Terzak, it's Keck, it's Kuhn, it's Sabillo, and Horton in your top 5. So some new names have worked their way up front here, Evan, as the night goes on. Of course, that caution flag in the middle of the pit stops really did affect a bunch of drivers. Some of them, like Kuhn, have gotten, Parker Retzlaff even, have gotten their lap back, but since that moment, they've really not been, you know, at the lead or in the picture as much as they were before that moment of caution.
So will Kyle Terzak, somebody who, for starting second, had a pretty quiet night, was running in tow behind Kuhn for much of this race. Will he jump out to be the man to beat? I think we always knew, you know, William Keck had some moments of brilliance based on some strategy calls. Same with Maverick Davis, but straight up speed, Terzak and Kuhn, the best 2 cars in this field. Tarasca was another one of them. He's been set back. Or I should say Retzlaff is. He's been set back due to some of the strategies. So through everything we've seen, Terzak and Kuhn, the top 2 cars, I think if you had to power rank them, they're both in the top 3 and on an equal playing field. Green flag flies. Back at it we go. And now they're both in the top 2. Kuhn through and around Keck. And they are back to P1 and 2. This time it'll be Kuhn chasing Terzak. What's going to happen in the slew of battles behind them?
I think it's been about 100 laps, roughly maybe 90 laps since Kuhn was your leader and had that pit stop under yellow, which turned into the yellow flag. So about 100 laps later, he wants to get back up here. He's all over the back end of Kyle Terzak. But then they got Keck, Horton, Sabillo, Maverick Davis, and more involved in this battle. There's a battle side by side back there, even behind Davis. That's going to be Plemons and Hodgson fighting for P6 and 7, I believe. 7 and 8.
And a big bobble, the 12 car. Horton gets sideways. Sabillo had to check up. He might have gotten into him. And then Maverick Davis on the brakes also there is a huge dent punched in the back bumper of Chris Horton's car after that thing got sideways seemingly out of nowhere, and he got punted by the 20.
Certainly did. Got a big hit from 20. Up front here, up top, I should say, is Maverick Davis trying to make that top lane work and doing a decent job at it. Evan right now now got himself up behind that blue car up ahead. That's Chris Horton. So he is trying to make passes up ahead. Here's here's Nolan Hodgson, on board. He's also trying to make the top lane work, and I'm kind of impressed here with about, 55 to go, that this top lane has kind of almost grooved itself in.
It really has. It's become the spot to be, I think. And now we'll see if a pass for the race win can happen there. There's battles all over the racetrack right now. This group for fourth on back that had the big scare. You jump on board the perspective of Maverick Davis as he gives another punt. He is tired of sitting around and waiting for Horton to get out of the way. So the 25 with the bump and run, it is go time in Pensacola, but he can't get clear. That 12 is not going to roll over.
No, and we talked earlier about, the do unto others rule, the golden rule you talked about earlier in the broadcast, and I think for Maverick Davis, my only concern is we're making these moves a little early. It's 52 to go up on the board here, and the problem with making that move right now, it sounds cool to do it to Horton and get Horton out of the way, but that's 51 and a half laps for Chris Horton to hit the wall first, but to get up there and catch you, and he may return the favor.
Yeah, let's see. I think that's kind of the rule of putting the bump and run on somebody is if you're going to move somebody out of the way, the number one thing you're going to make sure is that they can't give it back to you.
Get away from him.
Yeah, when that 12 machine was on the outside, I was a little bit worried. He's got some breathing room now. I think Davis and Hodgson, though, going to have their own battle because the 30 down to the inside of the 25, and the gift that keeps on giving this holiday season is the fight for fourth on back. It just will not go away. No matter what two drivers are involved, that one will conclude with much less theatrics than the one before as Hodgson gets the spot.
Yep, he does get the spot, and now there'll be single file. That may be better for both of them, honestly, to have that moment happen. Here's a three-car battle, by the way. This is AJ Plemons, Parker Retzlaff, and Keegan Sabillo on your screen. They're having an incredible battle here through the corners, trying to get this line sorted out, and they're even inviting Chris Horton to kind of back up and join their battle. So a nice 5-car battle happening here. 47 to go, and I keep saying the lap counts to emphasize, Evan, how fast these laps are. 16 seconds apiece. That's basically 3 a minute here at Five Flags.
And if this thing stays green, those 46 laps to go are going to rifle off quick on the stopwatch. Yep. There is not a lot of time left in this ball game. Battles throughout the field. The battle for the lead. Call it a couple tenths. The battle for fourth and third now. The next big one. This three-way battle with Plemons on back for 8th position. Everywhere you look, somebody trying to make a critical pass to end this race on a high. We've got 12 drivers of the 30 who started this race still scored on the lead lap.
Yeah, great run so far. Now you're starting to see the elbows come out. Now you're starting to see drivers lean on one another. You saw Chris Horton right there kind of lean on the car below him a little bit. And it feels like everyone now is kind of out of patience. That 20 car got leaned onto a little bit by Chris Horton. Now here's going to come others on around. All that moments of maybe, braking early or letting people by or being patient we saw in the first 100 laps, that's done. That's out the window. That's gone. Now it's about making every move you can. Speaking of making moves, here's Ryan Kuhn up in P2. He's still trying to run down Kyle Terzak. These guys combined have obviously led the most laps on almost all the laps tonight.
Yeah, if you add their numbers up with Terzak and Kuhn, you've got almost 200 of the 260 laps that have been worked thus far. I mean, they have been the story and would have been the only story if not for a little bit of strategy that flipped this race on its head with that caution midway through the pit cycle a little bit earlier on that allowed Maverick Davis to swoop in and lead 43. He's still a part of this, 2 seconds back with 43 laps left on the night, but right now doesn't have the bite to catch these two. It is Terzak, it is Kuhn, at the moment looking like a two-horse race, and look at the send into 3. Chris Horton, did he get moved up the hill again? He was way out in no man's land after he got doored by Sabillo in the 20.
Yeah, he certainly, that's what it looked like for me when I caught that camera shot. I thought for certain he got moved up again, and give credit to Chris. Maybe he just doesn't choose to participate in the voice chat, but I've heard nothing from him tonight across the iRacing service, and no frustration, no anger, no comments of nothing like that. And that is a moment where you might understand if someone was a little frustrated with the field. This car right here has just had a Parker Retzlaff. That is William Keck back in P3 in the green car, being passed here for position. And now we're going to ride on board for a moment here and watch this battle for P3.
The onboard perspective for the man sitting in the caboose on this battle for third. Sparks fly off of William Keck's number 23 up to the outside. To the inside, it's the 30 of Hodgson, and then watch it on is Maverick Davis. Right now, nowhere to go. And with each passing lap, these cars running slower than the leaders, so the advantage for that 2-car breakaway grows with each passing lap. Book it 33 laps to go. The next time by, what are the chances this goes green to the end?
It's looking pretty good. We're about halfway through where we started from where we started, so we're having a good run here so far. And the weird thing to think about is we are now less than 10 minutes of racing. If this thing does stay green, we'll be at checkered flag in less than 10 minutes here if these guys can keep it this way. Here's Parker Retzlaff, of course, had a lot of success, as you said, in the real world, has driven cars of this style and some bigger cars in his real life career. So Parker's having fun out in the sim. One of those drivers who started off in the sim was able to kind of make some moves in real life. Now he's making a move on the bottom of the track. That's 4 wide. Oh my gosh, there's a car to wall. That is Keck, I believe.
We are not going to go green to the end, and one car up and over it is Keck. The 23 wow. Airborne up and over several times, and how the mighty falls as the battle for third falls apart inside a 30 to go. It was a huge 3 wide move. Maverick Davis was tired of sitting around, put it 3 wide to the inside, then the 7 made it 4, and the math just does not work when you try to fit 4 cars into the corner. And right there, 23 gets into the fence, and then the second hit with big damage to the 9 of Cryer is what finishes him off.
Yep, you see some contact to happen on back now. Pit road will be busy. Drivers are going to come down who had that last set of tires left. Joseph Collada, black flag, likely speeding on pit road. He'll move to the back of the field, but now let's see who gets the pit stop fastest, who takes the lead with their new tires.
And with all the leaders in, it's going to be a drag race off. Terzak will maintain. Maverick Davis gonna sneak into the number 2 spot. So Davis, does he leapfrog him? No. Are they gonna give it to the 1? I thought for certain Maverick Davis had him on the exit at pit road, but the number 1 pit stall for qualifying on a pole may just be the difference maker for Kuhn.
Yeah, I was looking to see as well, and it does look like Kuhn's going to get it here over top of the field, and we'll see. It's over top of that car right there. He was with side by side, I should say. So up front, there's a couple cars up front here, Evan. There's 1 car up front, I should say. That is a lap down car. He's waiting for his wave around, so no one stayed out here. Those cars right there on the lead that are laps down, waiting for the wave around. All these cars here from Terzak on back pitted, those will be your leaders.
So despite maybe the moment that we thought that a Davis or a Retzlaff was going to sneak in, they're there in the number 2 spot. Look at the replay. I mean, that 1 is an inch off of the line. So when they race on pit road exit, no doubt Terzak's got it. And again, if that line is anywhere further, it goes to the 25. But Kuhn gets bailed out by the number 1 pit stall. We'll restart outside of Terzak. 26 laps to go. Green flag back in the air.
Well, here we are. This is the race right here. New tires. That's not a concern. Fuel's not a concern. And now it's who is the best behind the wheel.
And the one is going to be clear. Davis had a good restart. Not enough, though, to get down and stay down on the one of Kuhn, who is now clear for the number 2 spot. So once again, the big two, Terzak and Kuhn, battle up front. Who's going to be the third one in on the outside? Parker Retzlaff makes the pass on Davis. Look at the 22.
Ow.
AJ Plemons moving Maverick Davis out of the way for P4.
I said, oh, you live by the sword, you die by the sword kind of style. For everyone, Maverick Davis was moving earlier. He might have suffered his own fate, but up front, it is still Terzak, Kuhn, and Retzlaff. Boy, I feel like I saw this before. I feel like if we flip these front 2 cars around, which Ryan Kuhn would love to do, I've seen this movie before.
It's a bit of deja vu between these 2 drivers. Again, the inverse order of what it was for much of the early half of this race, where Kuhn, who started on pole, was being pursued by Terzak, the challenger, in the number 2 position. This time it's an invert, but is Parker Retzlaff the game changer in this conversation? The top 2 have led more than 210 combined laps in this race. Retzlaff has led none, but he's right there with them. He has been consistently one of the best cars of the night. Can the 7 find a little bit extra?
Is Retzlaff the game changer, or is simply the driver that kind of feels he's hanging out in the catbird seat? Kind of ironic given the canary yellow on that car, but hanging out in the catbird seat. Maybe he's the one thinking, listen, Terzak and Kuhn are going to get bumpy. They're going to get aggressive. They're going to get a little wild with 19 to go. If I just sit back here and let them do it, I might be the beneficiary of that moment where I take the lead because they get a little stupid.
Yeah, what do you are willing to bet on if you're Retzlaff? Do you feel that, yeah, these top 2, they might take each other out and I could be the beneficiary, so I want to sit here in third and camp out? Or do you feel like that's not likely to help me out and I have to be the instigator? And maybe one of those decisions is going to be made for you just based on your pace. If you can't get to them, then you've got to just assume and hope that they will get physical with one another, and this race may come back to you. But we have seen drivers show that they are not afraid at all to push drivers out of position, to send somebody into the corner. We haven't seen it for the lead much tonight, but we've seen it just about everywhere else.
Yeah, feels like we have seen it about everywhere else, and looks like Retzlaff is having a hard time keeping pace here. Time by time, lap by lap, he's about a half a tenth off of these guys. I mean, it's really not much, but you can see that small little bit of gap between second and third. These guys are just pulling away. Now 14 to go on the track, Evan, and if I had to place bets here, if I was a gambling man, Ryan Kuhn at some point is going to make a move, whether it's a dive to the inside, whether it's using the old chrome horn, as some of our older drivers call it, the old bumper, the bump and run, if you will. Something is coming here in the next 13 laps.
And if you're Terzak, they could come at any moment. We mentioned earlier, right? We saw a couple drivers get physical. We said kind of one of the rules is if you're going to put the bumper to somebody, you typically want to do it when they don't get a chance to respond. So you would think if you're Terzak that that's probably going to be coming late, right?
Yep.
Second to last lap, last lap. But does he surprise you, make the move early, right? Do you kind of hope that the 19's not expecting it at 5 to go and you make that decision a little bit quicker? We'll see when it comes to now some lap traffic in the conversation also. The 18 of Mick Gingras stays high, out of the way.
Oh.
The timing of that might have helped Terzak a little bit, but there's more lap traffic still to go.
I thought that was really going to help him more, honestly. I thought that was really going to catch the one out. But I was going to say a second ago, all those questions you asked about when does it happen, how does it happen, I was going to say, does the lap traffic cause it to happen? But so far, they navigated that pretty well. Retzlaff got caught a little bit by that last car. Now you see a bigger gap forming between second and third. Now it feels like it's just a 2-car battle. The 1 and the 9 are battling out with 9, now 8 laps to go.
8 laps to go with the win in the iRacing Winter Derby on the line. Terzak, Kuhn, top 2 drivers, and now as Retzlaff starts to slip, now 0.6 of a second behind, it looks like this one will be decided between the 2 drivers who are the best on the field by a decent margin, I'd say, all night long. Which one of them can close it out here in Pensacola? Turzak hugging the bottom. Is he deciding that if the one's going to make a move, he's got to do it on the outside?
By the way, it's worth noting this is a lower class NASCAR. This is the super late models. So I'm bringing up to say there likely is not a green-white checker here, Evan. We are likely at that point now. If a caution comes out, this is the race. Now, if you're Ryan Kuhn, you cannot wait. You have to make your move. You have to do something, because right now, caution, done if that happens.
It might be go time, and we mentioned the strategy for Ryan Kuhn. Do you want to wait and make the move late in the race? Did you wait too long? Because now he's not on the bumper. He's going to have to make something happen from a full car length back. What does the one have left at 3 to go?
Not much, I don't think. We're going to wait and see. It's going to be one big send in one of these corners here. 2 to go this time by. I think it's this lap. You have to send it this lap. You cannot wait till 1 to go to make your move, I don't think.
2 laps to go. Kuhn closes back in. It's about a half a quarter length. The outside line. He's there again. Where do you go if you're Ryan Kuhn? He's going to follow the footsteps of Kyle Turzak to the white flag. 1 lap to go in Pensacola. Turzak desperately trying to close it out. Kuhn, does he make a dive into turn 3? Last opportunity, not close enough. And Kyle Turzak slides across the line to win the Winter Derby.
Wow, that was a big slide across the front. I got scared for half a second that he was going to slide it loose, but there it is. Turzak, is your winner at this prestigious event.
What a drive, and how about a hats off to both of those cars. 72 and 162 laps combined in the front of the field. Had a chance to make it a really ugly finish. They raced it out head-to-head. Turzak does enough. He was the best car in the second half, and that proves to be the difference maker today on a cool December afternoon in Pensacola.
What a great run, getting to burn it out, do some donuts, and celebrate a well-earned win here at this racetrack.
Well, the celebrations are on for the RKSetupShop.com and Turzak Racing entry of Kyle Turzak. Let's take a look at tonight's iRacing full race results for the top split of the iRacing Winter Derby. Final margin of victory just over 1/10 of a second, favoring Kyle Turzak over Ryan Kuhn, who had started on pole and led the most laps. Turzak, your champion here tonight. Retzlaff just a little bit off from them all night. Good speed, but somewhere in there were hundredths of a second where he just could not get that little bit extra. It settles for a podium in this one. AJ Pleemans comes home fourth. Maverick Davis looked like he was going to be the winner when he led 43 in the second half. He gets a really good top 5. Sabillo, Hodgson, Horton, Wembley, and Drudowski, your top 10.
Moving back into P11, you'll find Olivier Racine with Jun-Soon Lim, the South Korean, back in P12. Michael Smith in 13 with Nick Gingras and Kendrick Crayer through your top 15. These cars now all 2 or more laps down. Cameron Liebel, Derek Love, Joseph Galata, Tyler Geary, and William Keck round out your top 20.
And continuing on through, Brett Hahn's going to be scored in the number 21 position. Tracy Petter in 22nd. Brad Newman, 23rd. Alexandra Lacasse in 24th. That was a car that was part of the big battles up front early. Finishes ahead of Connor Robinson, 25th. Chase Williamson, somebody who started off well, qualifying top 3. He settles with a P26. His race fell apart. James Bomar, 27th. Wyatt Tinsley, 28th. Ryan Matthews, 29th. And Dallas Pataska will finish in the number 30 position. That's a look top to bottom at your iRacing full race results tonight from Pensacola. It looks like we do have our top finishers standing by. So let's get a word with Kyle Turzak. He is your race winner tonight at iRacing's virtual Five Flags Speedway. Kyle, you got us?
Yes, sir, I do.
Well, hey, congratulations on the win. You and Ryan had a lot of each other tonight. First half of the race, though, you were the one trying to get to P1. Second half, you were the one playing defense. Just tell us about the final half of this race and how it played out.
Yeah, it was honestly really difficult. I knew that once we had that yellow flag, when everybody had those green flag stops, we had to do a lot of work. And, me and Kuhn just locked in. We unlapped ourselves right there, and that caution came out. And I knew that I had to be really aggressive coming through the field, and I did that pretty well, I feel like. And once I got to the lead, I knew Kuhn, obviously best in this car up here, and I knew he was going to be really fast. And, I just had to protect the both side best I could, and I realized he was going to the top, so I was trying to enter it high, trying to block that, and I feel like I did that the best I could, and somehow, I don't know how, but we got it done.
How worried were you there coming to the end that he was going to give you a little something, because it's not like he was 2-3 car lengths back, and it wasn't going to be a crazy move to get to you. Did you think a little bump was coming, or were you pretty confident having raced with him the whole race that you knew unless you gave him an opening, you'd have a pretty good shot at being able to carry it out?
Yeah, I think we both knew that, we raced each other with respect. He's my team owner, so definitely got to give him some respect on my side, and, vice versa. But I knew that, this is a big race. This is the biggest race of the year in our books, and, we've been racing all of them and winning all of them. So this is very good for the RCAM group. I feel like that we came in here trying to win, and we did that with a 1-2-3 finish. So that's really good, and hopefully we can continue this and go into Sunday, win that, and just have a good winter derby overall.
You scooped me on all my other questions, because they were going to be about the fact that we talked about it on the broadcast too, right? This is kind of the biggest night for short track racing here on the sim, especially for the super late model community. And then the fact that you mentioned, you guys have been competing in all of them. You just tipped us off. We'll see it in future ones. So I know this event means a lot to you, so I'll kind of bounce that one back to you. For somebody who obviously takes short track racing super serious and is passionate about it on the sim, what is this Winter Derby weekend like, where it's kind of the spotlight of the iRacing world?
It's really cool. This is our one, big event for us short trackers. I know we have multiple leagues that do, big snowball derbies and whatnot, but to get, iRacing side of it, the official iRacing side of it, is really an honor to, run in these and be competitive. It's very hard to be competitive in these, and I feel like that, us, and I shouldn't say us, but me and Kuhn and everybody at RCAM just, locked in this week and put in the time. This took a lot of time to get this race set up ready, a lot of laps, so it definitely paid off in the long run. So I can't give a huge thank you to them. Hot Shot Photography, everybody's watching. This is a huge race, like I said in the past. It's just a huge race for us short trackers. Hot Shot Photography and everybody who's watching back at home.
We appreciate you jumping in and giving us the perspective from behind the wheel again, Kyle. Congratulations on a well-deserved win, and hope the rest of the weekend goes good for you and the guys.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
He's your race winner tonight in the top split of the iRacing Winter Derby. It is Kyle Terzak. Well, it's his team owner who comes home into P2. Derek, you've got our runner-up tonight, Mr. Ryan Kuhn.
Yeah, we're going to go and welcome Ryan Kuhn into the broadcast booth. And Ryan, you led a great number of laps here tonight in this event. Overall, P2 is your finish. How are you feeling right now?
Feel good, man. It was a great night for our team. Our cam set up shop. We bring a piece here every year. We come up to play every year for this race, this big event. But I'm incredibly proud of this group. We went 1, 2, 3 between Kyle, me, and Mr. Retzloff, and then a shout out to Maverick Davis, who finished 5th. And he's a first-time customer. So incredibly proud of this group. I enjoy it every year. This race is so much fun. Incredibly proud of Kyle. He did a good job, kept his composure and under pressure. So incredibly proud of this team.
So walk me through the mentality. Right around lap 152 or so, the caution comes out. You had just pitted under green. You got stuck a lap or more down. What was going through your head at that moment?
I was just trying to stay as calm as I could, and a couple of my guys were kind of freaking out, like, oh no, we're a couple laps down. I'm like, stay calm. We're gonna get them back. We got a fast car. We're gonna be fine. And I really think that was the key to tonight. Try to keep everyone's composure. We did what we could. I was trapped 2 laps down there for a little bit. Got the wave around. I knew if I could just get in a lucky dog spot, we were going to be fine. And luckily we did. We got 90 laps to go, and I said we got plenty of time. So Kyle took the lead and kind of just set sail from there. I felt really good at the end of the race, but it's just so hard to pass. But got through the rest of the field pretty easily, but it was just really hard to... Honestly, it was really hard to pass cars on my own setup. So it was a tough time, but that just shows that, you know, we come to play and we come to win. So we bring fast cars, and it proves with our guys tonight. So it was one heck of a race.
I know it's a team car in front of you. We were really wondering in the broadcast booth, was there any moment, let's say in the last 5 to go, was there a moment when you wanted to use the bumper? Were you going to use the bumper? Was that ever a thought in your head, or were you happy just with the 1-2 finish?
I'm the last guy in the world to use the bumper, but I was trying to make that outside work at the end, and honestly, it was pretty good at the end. But it was just tough sledding up there. You could build a run, but you couldn't get to the top, but there was really nothing on the bottom, so I wasn't going to move anybody for it, and that goes for anybody. And a lot of these guys know I'm the last person to ship somebody for a win, so but all in all, I want to do it as clean as I could if we got it.
Well, listen, well, congrats on the run. Anyone you want to say hello to or give a shout out to?
I want to give a shout out to, you know, like I said, my whole team, RKM Setup Shop, Everett's Auto Parts, iRacing for putting on this event, you guys for broadcasting it. You know, it's such a special event, and honestly, we're beyond grateful that we have you guys broadcasting. All my RKM customers for, you know, believing in us and just letting them know that I put in my 100% every week. So, you know, just thanks to everybody.
All right, well, we're going to let you go celebrate with the team. Have a great night, and we'll see you soon.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
All right, that is Ryan Kuhn coming home in P2. And Evan, I believe you're going to wrap up our podium interviews.
Yeah, we'll talk with a familiar name here on the iRacing Sports Network. Parker Retzlaff comes home in the number 3 spot tonight in Five Flags. And Parker, congrats on a good night. I mean, the car qualified up front. You guys ran up front outside of when the strategy kind of mixed things up. But, I mean, you guys were there with them all night. What do you think was the difference?
Yeah, I don't actually know. I mean, I've kind of taken a long break of iRacing, and I guess not a long break, but I don't race very often other than coming back for this event every year, and just because I love it. I love this event. It's my favorite event of the year. So I don't know what truly went wrong. Like, I thought I was in a really good spot. I felt really good early. I thought, you know, I had something to really race with, and then that whole thing happened at yellow, and I ended up 2 laps down and just having to fight through that. And I don't know if I just got behind on adjustments or what, but I just lost all drive off. So I mean, happy that we got a RKM 1-2-3, and I mean, we did what we needed to do as a team. But I just you know, wish I had a better chance to go race Kyle and Ryan for the win and not be, you know, half a second behind there.
Well, they were talking about how the whole group's kind of been going at this all weekend long. So was this your first to go at it this week? And are we going to see you contest a couple more of these?
No, I mean, I've raced every single one of them this week. So this is my worst finish of the week. So I think my winter derbers are going really well, and I'm going to keep racing the rest of them this week, and hopefully try and I've won 2 of them. So I'm hoping to you know, get another.
If P3 is the worst things are going, then it's not all that bad. Obviously, I mean, you're competing full time in the Xfinity Series, or I guess the O'Reilly Series coming up next year. But you mentioned you love coming back onto the sim to do this event. Is this something we maybe see you do in the real world sometime?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would love to do this race and be involved in the whole thing. I mean, I would tell you that one of my favorite things also is snowball derby qualifying in real life. So I'm excited for that tomorrow at noon, and just hanging out and watching that and trying to, you know, guess who's going to be on the pole. And I just enjoy all that. I feel like there's so much pressure and everything going into it too. You know, nobody wants to be in an LCQ in that race. So I think that I enjoy that race so much. I enjoy the Derby. It's a big like watch party every year at my house for it. So I'll be, you know, excited to watch it, and I would love to do it. It's just it has to match up with everything else going on in my life, and right now I feel like I kind of need to be focused with the best opportunity I've ever had in my career in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, and I just feel like I kind of need to be focused and working on that and getting everything as good as I can before the year starts.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing what you do in that 99 car next year, Parker. But good to see you back on the sim. Congrats on a good result, and best of luck for the rest of the weekend.
Thank you guys for streaming this and putting on a great broadcast like always.
It's your P3 finisher tonight. No stranger to finding success here on the sim. Parker Retzlaff ends up in third. P3, worst result of the week, Derek. Not bad for old Parker Retzlaff as he returns to his old stomping grounds here on the sim. And you heard it. We teased it at the top, right? We were talking about how big this is of a night for the super late model guys in the short track community on the sim. But it only means so much coming from us. You hear it from them. They said this is our biggest week of the year. It means a lot to them. And again, there are still opportunities to compete in both fixed and open setup runnings of this iRacing Winter Derby before the weekend is done. But once the weekend comes to a close, there will only be 2 more special events left in this 2025 calendar, with the Chili Bowl and the Production Car Challenge still to come.
Yeah, a couple of events coming up here really soon as we're almost at the end of the year. So those will be happening really soon. And heck, not too far before the 2026 calendar starts all over again. There's the Chili Bowl, December 16th through the 21st, 2025. Time for you to participate is still open on iRacing. So get signed up and get ready for some dirt racing in late December.
Yeah, and a lot of spectator crossover for this event and that one, maybe some driver crossover, but you talk about a big night for the super late model community. How about a big night for the dirt oval community with the Chili Bowl coming up in 2 weeks' time? Until then, though, that is it for us here tonight from Five Flags Speedway. On behalf of our entire team at RaceSpot TV and iRacing, and for your broadcast team tonight, for our producer Hugo Luis, for myself, Evan Pasoko, and for Derek Watson, I want to say thanks for tuning in and congratulations to Kyle Terzak, who is a top split iRacing Winter Derby champion in Pensacola.